Hello. Happy Wednesday, if it's Wednesday. I always say that, but then people probably might watch this on their own time on a different day. It makes no sense. Anyway, hi, I'm Keith. I am your meditation teacher here on this channel, Meditation Breaks. And we learn meditation here. So if you are somebody who is brand new to meditation or you've been doing it a long time, all these classes are for everyone. So there's no prerequisites you need or any, prior knowledge you need. You could literally just stumble in here and maybe you'll learn something. So each week we focus on a topic, and this is to try to illustrate how meditation can be applicable for our modern day life here, one that's pretty busy and filled with a lot of responsibilities. And aside from doing a topic and a meditation on that topic, I always start with a baseline introduction into meditation. So if you are brand new and you're like, topics are cool, but I would like to know the basics, we were going to do that first. So that's our cadence for today's class. We'll talk a little bit about meditation, what it is, how it works, why bother. Then we'll do a little meditation together. It'll be short. And then we'll do our topic and another meditation on that topic. Cool. So last thing I'll say before we get officially started is if you, at any point during this live stream, have a question or comment or, I don't know, anything, you can use the chat feature to ask me a question or whatnot, and I will answer it as soon as I see it. You don't need to wait for me to say, does anyone have any questions? Questions are open. All right. So feel free to use the chat feature, and if you don't really feel comfortable doing that, or I don't know, you think of a question after I go bye-bye, that's fine too. I'm going to give you my email address towards the end of the session, and you can email me. Exciting. Okay. So, what is meditation? Could wrap this class up. 5 minutes. We'll just talk about what meditation is. So meditation is this kind of, it's this word that we hear a lot more regularly these days, which is awesome. And that comes with a lot of benefits, awareness of it, right? And maybe you found out about meditation through a friend, or you hear about mindfulness this or mindfulness that, you're like, I'm gonna give that a shot, and that's awesome. What comes along with an expanded kind of advertisement of mindfulness meditation is it starts to become a little confusing, like, well, what actually is it? And when we think about the word meditation, each one of us has a very similar image in our mind as to what meditation is. It's this, right? It's sitting cross-legged on a floor or cushion with your legs kind of intertwined or something, crossed. And your hands are like this, maybe. Your eyes are closed. You look super peaceful. If you Google meditation, that's what you say. This is our kind of implied imagery of what meditation is. But this is a seating position. It is a body position. And while there may be benefits to doing meditation in that way, that is not the definition of meditation. So what is it? So here on this channel, I like to define meditation and have you guys think of meditation as a technique that you use to become familiar with stuff. Very professional definition. So familiarity is something that is intertwined with meditation. In fact, it is meditation. And that might seem a little nebulous because we don't go around thinking, oh, I'm familiarizing my mind with XYZ. And when we're talking about meditation, often it is mind-based. But familiarity is really important to us, and we can see how important it is to us by looking at something physical. So let's do, I don't know, making an omelet. No idea. All right. So when you were born, you did not know what an omelet was. You didn't know how to make it. You didn't even know what eggs were. You didn't know any of those things. And then, as you grow up a little bit, you start to eat omelets and you're like, oh, they're great. But you're still not making them. Maybe like your parents are making them for you or something. You go to a restaurant. And then eventually you're like, I'm going to make my own omelet. That's a ridiculous example. And the first time you do it, you put the eggs in there or whatever, and you go to flip it, and like fold it over, and it falls apart. Right? You're not familiar with the technique of making an omelet. Right? And so then the next time, you're like, give this another go. And you get a little better, right? Eventually you're flipping it over. And then now, in this example that may or may not be applicable to your life, you are a pretty good omelet maker. I mean, you're not the best omelet maker, but you could do it, right? And so you took something that you were really unfamiliar with, like zero familiarity, and became familiar with it. And when I say familiar, I mean everything, the physical mechanics of making an omelet, the mental mechanics of how long do I, stir or wait or whip the eggs. I don't can you tell I'm not much of a cook? So this output, or the output, I should say, that comes with familiarity is the thing you're familiar with starts to become a little easier for you. Less concentration, takes less effort for it to kind of happen, right? Whether it's walking, talking, literally anything you've ever learned, everything you've ever learned follows this cadence. And so familiarity is an extremely prominent and important part of our life. It's something we experience and use every day. And familiarity is not just reserved for physical activities, it's also the same and has the same kind of output trajectory for mental states. Right? So a lot of times people will get into meditation for, they want to relax. Right? And you might think, meditation relaxes me. And so when I meditate, I am relaxed. Meditation actually is not relaxing you. I know that's not good like advertising for someone who's a meditation teacher. But it's not. What meditation is doing is teaching you to become so familiar with relaxed you, with that version of you that is relaxed. It's in there. It shows up from time to time. It's teaching you to become so familiar with that version of yourself. Then what happens? Just like your mastery of the omelet, your relaxed self starts to show up more regularly with less effort. We don't have to try to be relaxed. That's kind of our default. Right? And so this is the power of meditation, and it kind of taps into our superpower as humans, the ability to choose what we want to become familiar with and have that be kind of our default. Right? And this is why meditation can be used for so many different things, whether you're here for anxiety or you just want to relax or you want to just learn something new or, kindness to yourself and all these wonderful mental states. Meditation can do that, can help you become really familiar with those things to the point where it becomes a part of your life without much effort. And that's our goal here, right? To start to choose, what do you want to become familiar with? What kind of person do you want to be, right? And start to make some strides towards becoming familiar with that, right? So that sounds all well and good, but how do we do it? How do we meditate? So when we start learning meditation, almost always, I don't know what percentage that is, but almost always, we start with breathing meditation. I don't know why I paused there. My brain shut off. Hey, Dee Dee. Hey, Dodie. Hey, Linda. Hey, Patricia. So we start with breathing meditation. What is that? Right? All meditation is us focusing on one thing. It's called single-pointed concentration. So we're focusing on one thing so exclusively that all the other stuff that our mind is juggling, usually, I did this for work tomorrow. Oh, what was that noise? All right. Start to fade into the background. And a byproduct of that is we kind of relax a little bit. So that's built in. But we also then we're using kind of like a clear mind to focus on this thing that we're focusing on. Right? So you can meditate on anything: walking, lifting your arm up and down, sneezing. I don't know. That one's hard because I guess you don't know when you're going to sneeze. It's a bad example. Brushing your teeth, anything. But breathing meditation is when the focal point of our meditation is our breath. And it's a really good way to start and continue forever because you always have your breath with you, which teaches a really important concept in meditation. And that's that we don't need specific external conditions to do this. You don't need perfect quiet. Might be nice, but you don't need it. You don't need to sit on the floor. You don't need to go on a retreat and leave your friends behind or whatever. You have to turn your phone on. I don't know. You don't do any of that. All you need is just a little bit of time, some patience, and your breath. And this is something that you can learn and utilize in your life. All right. So, breathing meditation, we're going to focus single-pointedly on our breath. Now, our mind, talk about familiarity. Our mind is very familiar with focusing on a lot of things at once. Our mind has been trained by us and society to be a multitasking mind. And look, that has a lot of benefits, right? We can accomplish many a worldly task by multitasking. But it's not a great way for being relaxed and kind of like becoming familiar with a specific thing because we're asking our mind to juggle. So what we're going to do is the opposite of that. We're going to single-pointedly focus on our breath. And whenever you notice that you're no longer single-pointedly focusing on your breath, and that could mean, oh, I got this itch. Wish that would go away. Or, man, that project I got coming up is really, like whenever our mind does those things, we're just going to say, not right now. That's our little saying here. Those thoughts are not intrusive. They're not unwanted. They're not bad. They're not any of those things. They're just thoughts. And we're saying, not now. So we're focusing single-pointedly on our breath, and I'll be guiding this so you don't have to worry about remembering all this. But we're focusing single-pointedly on our breath. Whenever we notice that we are no longer doing that, we got a little, we're drifting a little. We say, not right now. We can even imagine placing those thoughts beside us, and then we're bringing our attention back to our breath. Hey, Zach. And that little step process there is meditation, right? And over time, you'll find that you become more familiar with doing this. And so it's easier for you to both maybe not get as distracted and also bring your attention back. But truly, the goal here is not perfection. We're not trying to never get distracted. That's not the goal of meditation. If you can do that, then you should be teaching me. Because our mind thinks that's what it does, right? Um, what we're trying to do here is notice earlier on, or more readily, when we are distracted from the thing we're trying to focus on, and bringing our attention back to it. That's it. Cool. All right, we're going to do a little breathing meditation here together. And you may notice something about me. I'm not on the floor. I'm in a chair. You can sit wherever you want. Got a nice, comfy couch. Oh, sounds great. Got a hammock. Oh, incredible. Want to lay down? Drift off? Go right ahead. It doesn't matter. There is no like, you have to sit in this way, otherwise meditation doesn't work. That's not a thing. So just get comfy, and you can go ahead and close your eyes. That helps with some of the visual distractions. And I'm going to guide us through probably about a 5 to 7 minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, take a moment and check in with yourself. Actually ask, how am I feeling right now? What is my mind up to in this exact moment? This is purely an observation. We're not doing anything about it. Maybe you're tired from a long day. Maybe you're energetic. Maybe you're happy and sad. All those things are perfect. We're just noticing. Taking an interest in what our mind is up to. So what is your mind up to right now? And having checked in, we can now set a little promise, an intention, if you will. And that promise, that intention, is to focus single-pointedly on your own breath to the best of your ability for the next couple of minutes. Let that wish, that promise, sit in your mind. Become friends with it. This is your only task right now. All other things can wait. Just you and your breath. And with that intention set, you can now act on it. Turn your full, undivided attention to your own breathing, in and out, gently, naturally. You do not need to change anything about how you normally breathe here. No need to take big, deep inhales or forcefully exhale air. However you normally breathe is perfectly fine. In and out, gently, naturally. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice that your attention is no longer exclusively on your breath. Maybe you're thinking about what you have to do tomorrow, Or maybe you're thinking about something that happened earlier today. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this manner, we can just say not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Actually imagine yourself placing those thoughts beside you. And with those thoughts waiting patiently beside you, turn your full attention back to breathing in and out gently, naturally. Single pointedly concentrating on each moment of each breath. As we do this, start to really plug in to breathing. We may start to notice some interesting subtleties about the activity we're engaging in. Maybe you're noticing how the air feels cool on the tip of your nose each time you breathe in. How interesting. Maybe you're noticing how that same air, well, it feels a bit warmer when you breathe out. How interesting. Maybe you're noticing your body moving ever so slightly as you breathe. Your shoulders rising on each in-breath, falling on each out-breath. Your chest expanding and contracting. Slight shifts in your arms, torso, legs. Your entire body, an active participant in each breath, in and out, gently, naturally. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice it drifts. It doesn't matter how many times you need to do this. You are meditating right now. You are training your mind to tap into its natural, peaceful state. You are training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, the only thing you want to focus on is breathing in, breathing out, very gently and very naturally. And just for the last few moments, just sit here with your breath, breathing. No need to think too much about anything at all. Take a little time for you. Okay. And whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Sorry, I have to cough. I had to do that while we're doing meditation. I could tell a little frog in my throat. Okay. Congrats, you did it. That was breathing meditation. And there's not that many steps. That doesn't mean that it's, a breeze, right? And maybe you found that your mind was really distracted. Like, you can sometimes only keep your attention on your breath for a couple of seconds, if that, before something else starts to command your attention, right? This isn't an indication that you are not good at meditation. This is not an indication that this does not work for you. This is merely an indication that this is something new, something that your mind is not familiar with. You're noticing how busy your mind is all day long, how familiar your mind is with being busy. And so when you actively pay attention to that, doing this, it's like, whoa. So over time, just like anything else, this starts to become normalized and you start to get more familiar with it, and you'll find you'll be able to settle in a little quicker, or detect when you're getting distracted a little earlier, all those things. Cool? Great. That's breathing meditation. If you have any questions on breathing meditation, feel free to ask. I will be moving on to our topic. And this is a topic that I thought of today. And it's something that I'm trying to work on personally, which I think can be helpful, for you guys to see. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I'm working on stuff too. And this kind of thought came up about celebrating me, celebrating my mind, celebrating me, right? And so I thought it'd be a cool topic to talk about celebrating your mind and what that means. And hopefully you find it interesting. Cool. What kind of things do we celebrate? Like, what kind of celebrations are there? This is like when I was like, oh, I celebrate your mind. Like, what does this mean? Like an award ceremony came to mind, or like, graduation, a birthday, even, like an acknowledgement of accomplishment, essentially. Even a birthday, you did it, another year, right? You've accomplished that. And so, like, steeped in this idea of like celebrating something is like this acknowledgement or recognition of an accomplishment. Big, small, doesn't really matter, but that's kind of like where my thought process went. And in my own life, I find this to be pretty true. If I accomplish something, I feel good about myself, right? So then I was like, okay, well, like, when do I celebrate my accomplishments? Like, what's the pattern here, essentially? And I started to think of some examples, and here they are. And they might not all be applicable to you, but I thought they were pretty general. So, like, let's say you're at work. Sorry if you're retired and I'm sending you back to work here momentarily. You're at work. whatever that is. And you have to do a presentation. And you're working on this thing, making a sweet little PowerPoint or whatever. And then you have your presentation. And the presentation ends. And after the presentation, your boss comes over to you and goes, "Hey, that was great." And you're like, "Yes." Right? We're celebrating. We're like celebrating our accomplishment. We did it. We did good. All right. So let's rewind. Same presentation, same scenario, everything. You give the presentation and you leave, and nobody says anything to you about it, including your boss. Everyone just goes back to their desk. And that's the end of it. Are you celebrating? Are you celebrating your accomplishment? Maybe. But sometimes we'll go, "Oh, I guess that didn't go so well because nobody said anything." All right? Now we'll rewind again. Like, what about if you come out of this presentation, your coworker says, "You nailed it." We're like, "Thanks. We feel great." And then our boss tells us, "I don't know if that went that well." And then we completely forget everything our friend said. And we're like, "Oh no, I did so bad at this presentation," right? We're not celebrating ourselves generally, right? This bizarre example is to illustrate that a lot of times when we celebrate our accomplishments, we are doing so because of the approval of someone else. So in fact, we're actually kind of celebrating the mind of our boss in this scenario. Like, we're celebrating the mind of our boss being pleased with our work. Right? Like, whether or not the presentation went well is completely subjective to somebody. And in the example of a coworker, right? Our coworker, who we, have a really nice relationship with, is like, "You did awesome." And then our boss says, "I don't know." And we prioritize that over what our friend even said, right? And so this kind of idea of celebrating us is often steeped in the perception of us from others, right? And in all of these in every one of these examples, the presentation you made is exactly the same, right? And you worked hard on it. You put in a effort and stuff like that. And why is it that it's only good if somebody says it is, right? Why don't we celebrate our accomplishment of accomplishing, right? Running a race. This is another one I thought would be interesting, right? So like, okay, you're running a race, and I'm going to just put this out there. I don't run. Okay. I don't know why I'm using this example. You're running a race and you win. Yes. Celebrate. You're at the top of the podium doing a little wave, right? You're like, "I did it." Feel good about yourself, right? Did it. Rewind. You do not win, but you finish the race, right? And here's interesting. So we might be really disappointed. We're like, "I didn't do good," which is subjective again, like according to whom? The arbitrary rules of this race. But sometimes we're like, at least I finished, right? Like, and so like, there's an example of us kind of overcoming this, only celebrating the like subjective accomplishment as opposed to like, I did this, right? I finished, right? Hey, so how you doing? Okay, what if you don't finish the race? Generally, we're not too pleased, right? Um, but we still ran. In all of these situations, we ran. We trained the same amount of time. We put in the same amount of effort, right? Whether or not we celebrate ourselves seems to be tied again to some sort of like meeting like an external expectation. This time, really an external expectation of either the race as a whole or you, like if you're trying to go for your personal best or something like that, right? Um, and this brought me to what about meditating? All right. So this also is something I think shows up a lot when we're meditating. All right. So when we're meditating, we just did some. Let's say you're meditating and your mind just settles in right away and stays that way. You're super relaxed and focused. And then I say, okay, you can open your eyes. And you're like, I don't want to because it's awesome. Right? You're celebrating yourself like, hey, good on me. I did good. Right? I didn't get distracted. Yay. Celebrate. What about when our mind is busy at first? Maybe we're getting a little annoyed, but then it settles in eventually. Also, just like kind of finishing the race, we're like, look, it didn't go as maybe perfectly as I want, but like, I got there, right? Celebrate. Cool. What about if your mind is busy and continues to be so the entire time? We sometimes, usually, we'll be like, well, that didn't go great. But the activity is the same. You sat down and meditated. Whether or not the meditation was good or not is completely subjective and irrelevant to meditation because there is no good meditation. There's just practicing. And this is a really important aspect of meditation. And it's one of the hardest. It's to celebrate your mind independent of the external expectations that you may have. You may have an external expectation of not being distracted while you meditate. And then if you don't meet that, then you don't celebrate your mind. But the reality is that we can't control all those things. We can't control if our mind, hears a sound, right? It's all about showing up. If you came to our last class, that was on this really cool concept of just show up, which I know probably sounds strange if you weren't there, but you can go watch that video if you'd like. But essentially just showing up like you're here, you're practicing, you're mentally present, right? You did the presentation, you ran the race. Celebrate your mind, right? Celebrate you independent of what the outside says you should be celebrating, because there's a lot to celebrate, but we kind of sweep it under the rug a little bit, right? And we focus on these few things that maybe where we came up short in some sort of activity, right? And so I like to think about this as like true celebration. Not a great name for it, but whatever. True celebration, right? And instead of an acknowledgement of an accomplishment, it's just an acknowledgement. I meditated. I did a presentation. I ran a race, right? It's an acknowledgement. And that in and of itself is a more true way of celebrating what your mind can actually control, right? Instead of waiting for approval permission even to congratulate yourself, right? So it's just a cool little thing I was thinking about for some personal, personal stuff. And yeah, as with many things we experience, it's applicable to meditation, right? And I think meditation is a really great way of starting to learn how to celebrate your mind, right? Not celebrate in a physical accomplishment or something like that, like, but celebrate your mind, the fact that you have a mind and it can think and you can focus on stuff and you have this ability to think critically. Like, their mind is awesome. It's like the most awesome, and it deserves some celebrations, some more celebrations than we probably give it, right? So I want to do a meditation, and it's going to be pretty similar to what we just did. We're going to do like a breathing meditation. But what I want to do this time is we're going to kind of, and I'll be guiding, obviously, but we're going to kind of pick out moments where we're celebrating our mind. And this is a celebration independent of how our meditation is going. Cool? Okay. So, did you like your last seating arrangement? If you've chosen yes, continue to sit there. If you've chosen no, you can change. You can go sit somewhere else or lay down now. Just get comfy and go ahead and close your eyes. And I'm going to guide us through a celebratory meditation. Take a moment and check in with yourself. What's your mind up to right now? I'm not comparing it to before. Before is done. Just now. Really think about how your mind feels. Is it stressed, heavy, busy, calm, whatever it is? Just notice. This is called mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts moment to moment for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. This simple practice of checking in is mindfulness, and it's cause for celebration. An acknowledgement of your mind being able to pinpoint what it's up to. An acknowledgement of you making the effort to do so. How wonderful. Now you can set an intention to focus single pointedly on your own breath. A little promise. Let that sit in your mind. And then act on it. Turn your full, undivided attention to your own breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. And just check in. Where's your attention? Maybe it got distracted a little. This can sometimes make us feel discouraged. But this is a cause for celebration. You have made a choice to focus on your breath, and you have noticed that you are no longer doing so. An awareness, a deep awareness of where your mind is moment to moment. Something to celebrate. How wonderful. And we can just pull our attention back to our breath. No judgment. Continue to breathe in and out, gently, naturally. A moment to moment interest in breathing. Is breathing interesting? I don't normally think so. But as we plug in to our breath, we may start to find some interesting things. I'd like you to imagine each time you breathe in, I'd like you to imagine you're watching that air. Watch it as it leaves the atmosphere and enters your body. Watch it as it passes through your body into your lungs. Feel your chest expand to make room. How interesting. And when you breathe out, can you feel your chest contract? Can you imagine you're watching that air move back through your body? Watch it as it leaves your body back into the atmosphere. Watch it dissipate, mixing with all the other pockets of air. You'll never experience that exact same pocket of air. But for the brief moment that you inhaled and exhaled, it was a beautiful connection that you could feel. How cool is that? That your mind is able to find interest and fascination in something as simple as your own breath. That's cause for celebration. And so to close today's meditation, I'd like you to just thank your own mind. Thank it for all that it has allowed you to accomplish. Learning to walk, read, write, laugh, make jokes. For all it has allowed you to experience: love, excitement, even sadness. Celebrate your mind, period. Because it is a wonderful mind. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Celebration. We did it. We had a party for our mind. So we are doing the same thing with breathing meditation, but weaving in here some like aware acknowledgement of like, hey, it's cool that I'm doing this, right? Independent of if you get distracted or not, right? Even getting distracted and noticing is like, yeah, I was distracted, but I noticed. Celebration, right? So this is a really kind of cool way, I think, to like enhance some of your breathing meditations and to like infuse some gratitude in there, and just some self-love, so some positive self-image work into a breathing meditation, right? A little 2-for-1 deal. Sweet. Who doesn't like that, right? Great. That's the end of our class. I hope you had a great time. Hope you're feeling a little relaxed. Thanks, Rosa. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, or you're like, you know what? Meditation rocks. I would love to do some private study with Keith. I offer private meditation instruction. I do it virtually. It's very laid back. If that's interesting to you, or you just have a question, as you're meditating on your own, feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat right now. It is Keith. Am I typing? No. Okay. I just hit a bunch of keys and I don't know what I did. Okay. Keith at meditationbreaks.com. I really should stop saying .com. Keith at meditationbreaks.com. Can't help it. That's my email. Hopefully it's correct. I think it is. Looking at it now. Email me any questions you might have, and a big thank you for being here. Celebrate being here. Just showing up, right? I know I'm celebrating you being here because it gives me the wonderful opportunity to teach, and it's really admirable that you're taking time out of your day to do this. Right, Tracy, thank you. I appreciate it. Hope to see you all next week when we do other meditation stuff, whatever that is. All right, have a great week, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.